Hello everyone, welcome back to ErikaBuilds and another Sims 4 speed build. Today we are in the world of Brindleton Bay, building a home in the Sable Square area right next to the Brindleton Hospital. And this lot is called Sporting Space. It's a 30 by 20. And this home is being recreated from a picture that I found on Instagram, on an account I follow called Builders of Instagram. And here's the picture now. As you can see, this house is really cute. I love the blue and white colors. I love the details around the front porch and that balcony up on the second floor. I just think is so adorable. So I really wanted to try to rebuild this. And lately I've been doing a lot of big houses and I've done a couple of tiny homes. So I really wanted to do something this time that was just kind of more of like a mid-range size house. And since we have so many 30 by 20s, I thought it would be good to build on one of those because I hadn't done that in a while. So yeah, this house is a little bit different than the houses that I normally build because typically I do a lot of rustic houses or modern or like traditional suburban homes. And I don't usually do very much when it comes to classic architecture or like Victorian style and stuff like that. So I thought it would be kind of a challenge to see if I could recreate this one. And I decided to use some windows and doors from Strangerville. If you're familiar with that pack, you know that it has a lot of really classic style architecture that goes really well with this particular type of house. And I combined things from Strangerville with some stuff from Cats and Dogs, and actually quite a lot of stuff from Discover University, which also has a lot of nice traditional items, and then base game. There's quite a bit of base game furniture as well. So yeah, I definitely was trying to use packs that I knew would fit the overall kind of vibe of this house. And right now what you're seeing is I'm working on this sort of like second floor balcony, which I hadn't really done anything like this before, so I wasn't really sure how to do it. I knew that I wanted the roof to butt right up against that balcony, but every time I put down a roof piece, the railings would disappear. Because as you probably know, railings don't hold the same kind of rules in the game like walls do. And so when you draw a railing, it won't cut the roof away. And so once I realized that that wasn't going to work, I had to kind of think outside of the box a little bit and figure out how I was going to get this effect. And so what I ended up doing, once I finally got the roof pieces placed, which took forever because, I don't know, I was just having I really wanted the seam of that hipped roof piece to come perfectly in alignment with that column. I just wanted the column to intersect with that seam. And so once I finally got that done, then I drew some half walls, the very lowest option of half wall, along where those railings had been. So that way I could kind of form like the room itself of the balcony. And then I went into the debug catalog and I found just some random sort of like picket fence pieces. I'm not even sure which pack they were from, but I used the 9 key just to kind of raise those and put them on top of the half wall so that it would look like railing, but that it would actually not be. So it's a little bit strange, maybe, perhaps, but that was the best thing that I could come up with to make this, sort of desired effect that I was going for this upstairs balcony. And the front of this house kind of morphed and changed as I worked through some of these issues. At first, I was kind of thinking I would do this wraparound porch that you're seeing now, but then later I ended up going back and changing it to just without the wraparound effect because I was having trouble getting the columns to look right. It was looking a little bit off balance. So yeah, there's definitely some practice I think needed with this type of architecture. And if I ever have hopes of doing like Victorian style builds, I definitely need to get more familiar with the building techniques that I need to achieve those looks. Here I was just trying to find some nice windows that would imitate the ones that were in the reference photo. And I ended up finding those windows from Realm of Magic that were sort of rounded at the top, but they were very, very narrow. And they fit in that tiny space next to the door just perfectly. So I was excited about that when I found something that would work. And then the roof was also kind of complicated because it had two gables that were face forward, and then it had another larger gable that was facing the side. And then underneath it all was a hipped roof. And I played around with a lot of options. In fact, I ended up, well, as you can just see as it cut away, I ended up cutting out that process because it took a really, really long time because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use one giant hip roof or if I was going to have to go around the gabled roof with like individual pieces of hipped roof. And I had to try a bunch of different techniques. Luckily, roofing is something that I've gotten better with over the last couple of years, but it just took a lot of time before I finally made it look right. So I didn't torture you guys with having to watch all of that. So I cut that out. But yeah, here you can see where I was still going for that wraparound. I hadn't quite decided yet what I was going to do, but I did know that I for sure wanted to have a back porch because I feel like with this style and with this nice front porch that it made sense that it would have had a back porch as well. And later on when I worked on the landscaping, I did a coordinating gazebo back here with the same type of railing and columns that I used for the porch, so it would kind of tie in nicely. One thing about, as you can see, I manipulated the terrain to elevate this house up high. But the downside with elevated terrain, especially on a 30 by 20 where you can't really taper it very much, even after I went back and smoothed it over and got rid of like the parts where the brown was showing through, there's not like a lot you can really do with the yard because anything that was kind of like my go-to items, like maybe a swing set or a garden or something, there's really not a good way to place that on the ground because you'll end up with like it half kind of floating in the air. So the gazebo at least allowed me to put down a foundation so then I could build that and it wouldn't, be as awkward looking. And I did some like trees and flowers and stuff like that, but I didn't really put a ton of stuff in the yard. Yeah. So anyway, now you'll see I'm working on floor planning. I kept the floor plan pretty traditional, with just kind of like using squares, obviously, because with these types of traditional older classic homes, that's what makes sense to me. And it was a little bit hard to figure out the upstairs, but I finally got it worked out where I could have 3 bedrooms because I feel like with a family house, you really need at least 3 bedrooms. And then there were 2 bathrooms upstairs and a half bath on the first floor. So the house is kind of small, like I said, 30 by 20, but I was able to get in 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. And then here for the kitchen where I started, as usual, I chose the cabinets from the Vampire Pack. They are my absolute favorite cabinets for doing anything traditional or classic. I really, really love them. If you don't have the vampire pack, there are also some base game cabinets that have that same sort of traditional look that you could pop in there. I always tell people, because see, I have all packs, and so I know that if you download one of these houses from the gallery and you don't have all the packs, I think typically things will either be totally missing or substituted or something. I'm not really sure how that works. So yeah, sometimes if you have items that are missing, or you see like an empty hole somewhere or something that doesn't make sense, it might be because you didn't have the specific pack for that item. I swear I get a message almost every day from somebody that says, I downloaded your house and there's no kitchen cabinets, or I downloaded your house and there's no toilets, or, and that is just because, of missing packs. So yeah, that can happen sometimes, but usually, if you can just go in and use whatever packs you do have, you can kind of fill in those missing items, that are not there. Yeah, so I was working on the living room there, trying to decide on what kind of furniture. And actually, that's not even the furniture that I kept. I went back and changed it later because it was a little bit too plain. I wanted something maybe with a little bit more color. But I definitely kept it very traditional. And like I said, I used a lot of stuff from Discovery University in the furniture, on the first floor and the second floor as well. And then I went with like a dark wood floor because I felt like that looked very vintage and classic. And then I paired that with wallpaper that had the very thick crown molding around the ceiling, because I feel like that's kind of necessary when you're dealing with these older homes. And I know I've said it a million times, but I'll keep saying it. I love these archways from Strangerville. They're one of my most favorite things in the game. I love those decorative scrolls on the side, so I definitely knew I wanted to use those. They're very classic, very pretty. And I started out with a cats and dogs dining room set, and I later changed it to Discovery University. Since that's a new pack and I'm not super familiar with it, some of these packs, I have them so memorized, I don't even have to think. But whenever we get a new pack, sometimes I kind of forget what's in it. And I had forgotten that there was a really cute chairs swatch of chairs that I liked, and so I switched out those cats and dogs chairs for those. You'll see that happen here in just a few minutes. There is no office in this house, but there is a bookcase and a computer in the living room. So I would consider that to be like the family computer. Since the kids' bedrooms were small, they don't have computers in their bedrooms. So that computer that's in the living room is really just for everyone in the family to use. And yeah, so I started out with that really tall bookcase from Strangerville, but it was touching the crown molding, which I've mentioned before. That is like a pet peeve of mine. When I use crown molding, I don't want anything to overlap it. So I used this other bookcase from Discovery University because it was a little bit lower, but it was still very tall and I think matches the room. And then for the desk, also Discovery University, but I went back later and decided that desk, even though the style of it was really perfect for this house, I felt like it was a little bit too clunky and sort of big for the room. And so I got rid of it and I swapped it out for just a little small single desk, which I think looked a lot nicer. Same thing over here. I just kept it with one couch, one chair. I didn't want it to be too tight that, your Sims wouldn't be able to walk around to sit down. Because there's doors right there, you have to kind of be careful that you don't get it too close. There we do. We got a little fast forward. So now you can see which couches I ended up picking. I did the striped because I just felt like it added a little something to the room. And then I matched it with this new rug from Discovery University, which is very classic. It has like this kind of floral pattern on it that I think is perfect. So yeah, this room is really coming together now, and it's definitely giving me that traditional vibe. So now I'm going back into the kitchen. This rug is new. It's from Tiny Living, and it's gorgeous. It has the most beautiful texture, and the tassels at the end are so realistic. I really, really love it. So I use that for the kitchen. And then for the decor in here, I pretty much stuck with just kind of traditional go-to kitchen decor. You know, I wanted to keep it very classic. Type of family kitchen. So all the kind of typical things you would expect to see. The stove is actually from Realm of Magic. It's like an old-fashioned cast iron stove, which I thought was kind of cool. Could you imagine in an old house, like maybe some things had been updated and changed, but some things are still, you know, quite old. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. And then out here on this giant front porch, I could tell from the reference photo that there was like a nice seating area here, like an outdoor living space. And so I used the furniture from Perfect Patio Stuff to make sort of like this nice outdoor living room, and which is especially nice because the living room inside is not very big, so it's nice that they have this outdoor one as well for more space. And yeah, so I kept it very fun and sort of outdoorsy, and I used a lot of potted plants and candles to kind of set like a vibe. So in the evenings, if the Sims want to come out there and sit and have a drink or whatever, it would just be, you know, very cozy and very nice little area. There's a ceiling fan there, and you'll notice that I kind of picked out all the decor that I wanted to put on the table, and then I couldn't really decide what looked good. So basically what I did is I just took everything off the table and moved the table, and then sort of made this design that I wanted, and then put the table back. So as you can see, I've got my potted plants, my candles, I've got that little drink serving tray, and once I got everything set up the way I wanted it, then I moved the table back so the stuff wouldn't be, you know, would be all set to the way that I wanted it to look. Yeah, so now I'm just adding more potted flowers and plants and stuff, and some wind chimes. And yeah, it's just a nice sort of summery porch. And there at the front doors, putting down a mat, and yeah, just finishing this up. I kind of go back and forth between working outside the house and working inside of the house because I'm not very systematic when it comes to decorating. Like a lot of times I'll like do a bedroom, and then I'll go outside and work on some landscaping, and then I'll go work on the kitchen, and then I'll go outside and do the porch. And so I'm always, I don't know why, I guess that's the way my brain functions. So that's why it keeps jumping around to all these different things. Yeah, so now we are upstairs on the second floor where the bedrooms are, and I started with the master bedroom. Again, I just wanted to keep it very classic, very traditional. So I went with all white furniture in here because I really felt like it matched nicely with all the doors and windows, and then I paired it with this very dark blue paint because I really felt like with the dark blue paint, the white furniture just really popped, and especially with the dark floor, I felt like that was a good combination for the master bedroom. This bed is from Cats and Dogs, and also the chest is from Cats and Dogs. And then the two nightstands are from Discovery University. And the door that goes out to the patio is from Strangerville. And the main reason why I picked that door is because since all the other doors and windows for the exterior of the house were from Strangerville, I wanted everything to match. Although the door it isn't really what I wanted, because to me that looks very much like a front door, not a patio door. But in Strangerville, there really isn't a door. Pretty much all the doors in Strangerville look like front doors, and most all of them also have mail slots. So I kind of had to sacrifice the fact that it wasn't really the door that I wanted in order to make it match the rest of the outside of the house. So yeah, now you can just see I'm starting to do like some decor, things that I wanted to put in the room. I decided to do like a little reading corner on one side. So there's not a ton of space in this room. Well, there's not a ton of space really in any of these rooms because it's kind of a small house. So I didn't have room for a ton of stuff in here, but I did do this little reading area with a small bookcase. I think this chair is also from Discover University. And then this ottoman that we got from Tiny Living Stuff is like my absolute new favorite item. I love it so much. It is just really cute. The fabric on it is really, really nice. Like the texture of it is really nice. If you look at it up close, it's just very, very realistic, which I have an appreciation for. So it kind of makes me excited to think about what kinds of furniture and decor we might be getting in like future packs if they're going to really start, amping up the quality of like fabrics and stuff. If you think about curtains or bedding or throw pillows and stuff like that, like I feel like that could really like make builds even more realistic. I'm kind of on the fence though about the sim. I like that the sims aren't too realistic. Sometimes when I see like the fan recreations of what the Sims 5 might look like, it makes me a little bit nervous that maybe the Sims are a little bit too realistic. And so I don't want the worlds to be too realistic. I still like that they're very much like a fantasy. But I do like the realistic furniture. So I guess I'm kind of split between the two. Anyway, so in this bedroom, I was debating if they would have either a stereo or a TV, and I decided to use this big old-fashioned stereo from Get Famous because I felt like it was very traditional and it would look really nice in this style of house. And then over here on the chest, I'm just adding some toiletries and stuff. I cut the bathrooms out of this video because it was getting so long as usual. But really, they're pretty basic. I did mostly base game in the bathrooms. I think the tiles are called like Queen Anne's something. It's the really small little tiles. So yeah, I cut those out, but I think I put some pictures of them in the screenshots. Oh, here you got a little sneaky peek of the front yard because after I finished the master bedroom, I went out and did all the front landscaping and I just really went a little bit overboard on the front landscaping, but mainly my inspiration was from the reference photo. They had like this kind of like rock wall and you could tell that they were planting like a lot of flowers and plants. So I just decided to really go all out with the front and you'll see more of that here in a minute. This is the first child's bedroom. Most of the stuff in here is from Discover University, the bed, the nightstand, and the curtains. These windows were really high because of the gabled roof, so they look kind of weird, and I wasn't really crazy about these curtains because they're so long, but it worked, and at least it was the same color, and like the swatches all matched and stuff. So yeah, like I said, Discover University, except for the chest, it's actually from Movie Night Out Stuff Pack, but the color swatch was really perfect. It's like this sort of pinky, peachy sort of color. And I think this chest looks really old-fashioned because it kind of has this like inlaid wood, like flower design that I just felt like really matched with the rest of the room. And since it's kind of a small room, there's not a ton of stuff in here. There's a toy box and a radio and a bookcase. So just kind of the minimum things that a kid would need. Oh yeah, and then this rug. This rug, okay, is from City Living. But to me, it reminds me of like something that would be in my grandma's house. I think it's just because of those big flowers. And so when I was looking through all the different rugs trying to pick one for this room, I don't know, I just thought this one looked really funny, and I liked how it was very old fashioned, because I kind of got the feeling that maybe this house like is, historical or something. And so maybe this even what used to be grandma's house, who knows? So I don't know. This rug just seemed to kind of fit the vibe of the vibe of the house itself. Yeah, so here is the third and final bedroom. And I decided to go with toddler twins because I actually have a lot of twins in my main save, but I kind of forget to do bedrooms for twins. Some of my big houses, I have them, but not very many. So yeah, I thought it would be something kind of different and unusual for this house. And the shape of the room was kind of long and narrow, which I thought lended itself pretty well to doing twins. So that's what I decided to go with. So their beds are on opposite ends of the room. And then in the center of the room, there's a dollhouse and toddler building blocks and a bookcase and toys and all that kind of stuff for them to kind of play there in the middle. And those rugs on the floor is like a set of 3 rugs. That's from the toddler stuff pack. The colors in here are mostly blue and green. And yeah, I just try to keep it kind of fun and whimsical. And I think as the kids grow up, it would be easy to switch these toddler beds out to twin beds and, kind of remodel, I guess, as the kids get a little bit older. And then as you can see there, kind of on the left side, there is a bathroom in between this room and that first bedroom that I did. I didn't keep it in the recording because it wasn't really much to show, but I used the tile from Realm of Magic, and I just did it with kind of like white and gray, just to kind of go, it's kind of like neutral tones. But yeah, it turned out pretty cute. And there's like a toddler, potty in there and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's about the end of this build. Let me know what you guys think of this house. Do you like this? Do you like traditional, sort of like classic architecture like this? I think one of my most downloaded homes in the gallery is called Classic Family Home. And it's very much like this one, very traditional with a lot of very classic elements. And so maybe you guys will like this one too. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know what you think. And here you're kind of seeing now a better look at the landscaping. I'm just doing some terrain painting. So yeah, this is up in the gallery to download. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think that's going to do it for today. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.